Welcome to Storytime with Chris. I'm your host, Chris, and today I'll be previewing the 49ers game against the Green Bay Packers. And I will briefly touch on the 49ers loss to the Seahawks. So let's start with that. The Niners lost to the Seahawks last Sunday, and I didn't get a chance to do a analysis of that game. Honestly, the thing about that game is we've seen the Niners play this game multiple times this year. It looked like the same game that they lost against the Cardinals and the Rams, where they played really well up until the fourth. Well, they played about average until the fourth quarter, and at that point the team fell apart both offensively and defensively, and it came down to the last drive for Geno Smith, and we saw what happened there. So there's not much to talk about. I mean, some of the breaking news that just came out is that Brock Purdy will be out against the Packers this weekend, and Shanahan in his press conference today said that the tightness in Brock's shoulder really was there the whole game. He was warming up more than usual, and it just wouldn't go away. So he didn't feel comfortable throwing a lot of deeper passes, which makes sense why they didn't even attempt a Hail Mary at the end of the game. They ran those short little passes, and I think it's just another example of Kyle Shanahan not making good decisions. If Brock is out there and he doesn't feel like he can throw the ball, then you've got to pull him out of that game, and you've got to get someone in there who can throw the ball, who's not injured. If Brock's warming up more than usual, if something doesn't feel right and he's not pulling the trigger on these deep passes, that completely eliminates part of your game. And I know Brock probably doesn't want to take himself out, just like CMC didn't want to last year. And that's a situation where as a head coach, you've got to go in and you got to say, no, you're not healthy enough to play. We're going to put someone else in. And honestly, that could have been the difference in that game. It's just another example of Shanahan not being the head coach that I think he can be, and just making a bad decision and keeping Brock in there. He can't even throw a Hail Mary at the end of the game. It explains that throw to Debo where he missed him high. It explains a lot of things that happened in that game, and having a guy even like Brandon Allen, or I preferred Josh Dobbs to be the QB2, but they like Allen in that position. So I think why don't you put him in at the end of that game? He gives you a better chance to win. How much time was left in the game? Like 15 seconds, something like that. Enough for 2 plays, right? Guarantee Brandon Allen throwing the ball 20-30 yards downfield gives you a better chance than throwing a little weird screen pass to Debo, who's going to throw it back to McCaffrey. Like, why not just put Brandon Allen in the game in that situation? So yeah, just a frustrating loss, and I'm not going to talk about it too much. I don't have a lot of time to record, and we're going to get into this Packers breakdown. So we're going to jump into that, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Brock Purdy here and the quarterback situation. So obviously, like I just said, Brock Purdy has been ruled out of Sunday's game. Brandon Allen has been announced as the team starter for a game that really is a must-win game. And the reason why I think it's a must-win is the Packers are a team that could potentially be fighting for a wild card spot at the end of the season. And so winning that head-to-head matchup against them gives you the tiebreaker. Now, I am having my doubts about whether the 49ers are going to be able to even get to that point where they're fighting for a wild card spot. But hey, I mean, they've been able to do it before. I know that's not just because they did it in the past doesn't mean they're going to do it this year. But if you're in a fight with the Packers, then you need to win this game in a head-to-head matchup. And they're going to be without both Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa, and then they have a few other guys that are questionable. Trent Williams is questionable. So I personally think I would have gone with Josh Dobbs instead of Brandon Allen in this game. It's going to be a little bit of a colder game in Lambeau. I don't think there's any chance of there might be a slight chance of snow, maybe rain, but it's going to be a cold day, nothing crazy. There's no reason why an NFL team shouldn't be able to pass the ball. I mean, we watched that Steelers and Browns game last night, and that was absolutely crazy. They were still able to throw the ball a little bit despite playing in a snow globe. So no excuses for not being able to throw the ball. But with that being said, I prefer Josh Dobbs. I really think it's a mistake. Well, with Brandon Allen, they were anticipating Purdy being able to go. So they were kind of caught by surprise, and Brandon Allen's skill set is a little bit more, I don't know. As a passing quarterback, his skill set is a little bit more like Purdy's. But Josh Dobbs has the ability to scramble, go make plays with his legs, and Brock's been doing that a little bit more. So I guess we'll see this week if, what happens there. I think Dobbs gives you a better chance to win because he has that threat with his legs. But we'll see. We'll see how Brandon Brandon Allen does. I had to go get him for my fantasy team because I had a feeling Brock would not be playing. It's just a really bizarre situation with Brock. Just season on the line and your quarterback's out. That's not a fun position to be in. I think the Niners, if they want to win this game offensively, there is one game plan that will work the best, and that is pounding the rock with your 3 running backs, CMC, Mason, and Garindo. Now, I've been someone that all season I've wanted to protect CMC from himself, from being overworked, overused, potentially re-injuring or severely injuring his Achilles and both his legs. But with this game here, this is really a must-win game. The season's on the line. Every game from here on out really is a must-win game. I mean, some of the AFC teams don't matter quite as much, but you'd still want to win those games. This one absolutely is, like I said before, another team that is potentially fighting for a wild card spot at the end of the year. And this is why Christian was paid guaranteed money. He's the offensive player of the year. This is the situation where you use him. This is where and I'm not saying you use him every single play. Like I said, use all 3 of your running backs. But this is where he goes and earns that guaranteed money he was paid. Like, hey, you were in the MVP running last year. Now's your opportunity to go out there and show the world why you were in the running. This is a must-win game. You put the team on your back, and also to protect yourself a little bit, you have capable backups in Mason and Garindo that really should be getting the ball more than they have the last couple of weeks. So that's what I'm doing. I think I'm starting with Mason as my running back, and when you get into third down situations, that's where you mix in CMC, and then Garindo and Mason can kind of alternate between the 2 of them. And all these running backs bring different skill sets. And I think that's what has been underutilized since CMC has come back, is these guys are all different. You can use them in completely unique ways from each other. And that's what I want to see in this game. The Niners in the past have always wanted to run the rock, and now it looks like they're going to have to do that again, because if you get down, you're going to have to throw the ball with Brandon Allen. And Brock has been struggling a little bit this season. I don't think Allen is going to do much better. So you've got to control the ball, run it, and give it to your offensive player of the year, and the running back who was a league-leading rusher for the first 8 weeks of the season. And yeah, if the Niners want to have a chance, then I think that's the way to do it. And just don't get into a situation where you're going to have to throw the ball. Defensively, this is a tough matchup. Jordan Love is a really good quarterback, and he's got a really good arm. He's athletic. He's finally getting healthy. And yeah, it's with him throwing the ball and Josh Jacobs running. I think it's really about controlling the line of scrimmage and playing sound coverage. I mean, it's a lot easier said than done. I do like the cornerback matchups, Demo and Green versus Dobbs, Watson. They've got some decent receivers over there, but nothing crazy. Difference really is Jordan Love, and we know the Packers run a similar offensive scheme to the Niners, and so they can scheme guys to get open. It's going to be a matter of limiting those kind of explosive plays that sometimes the Packers get on the Niners. And I mean, the Niners have done really a good job defensively up until the fourth quarter of every game. So, and they're going to be without Nick Bosa in this game. So I think, I don't know. I don't know how you get the team to stop struggling in the fourth quarter, especially without Nick Bosa. And with that being said, my prediction for this game is that the 49ers are not going to be able to get too much going on offense. That's going to force the defense to be out on the field a lot. And the Packers have a solid team offensively with the quarterback and Josh Jacobs. So for me, this is a tough situation for the Niners, especially with it being a must-win game, but I can't see them pulling it out in this one. I think the Packers run away with it a little bit. They're going to win this game 27-17. Let me know what you guys think. Is there a chance the Niners pull off this improbable win on Sunday? I mean, I thought this team was going to be a lot better this season, and we haven't seen them adjust at all. We haven't seen Kyle Shanahan adjust, and I think this really falls on him. I mean, yeah, they've had some injuries here and there, sure, but there have also been very questionable decisions made by Shanahan, keeping an injured Brock in that game last week against Seattle, running the heck out of CMC when he's fresh off Achilles tendonitis injury that he was held out of. He was put on an IR for and missed half the season with, and running him like crazy and giving Garindo and Mason a couple plays a game. And we haven't seen any adjustments with Shanahan when it comes to the red zone. It's literally been the same game every single week with no adjusting from Kyle. And even defensively, we've seen this team falter in the fourth quarter. They played great for 3 quarters and then fall apart in the fourth quarter. Yes, part of that falls on the defensive coordinator, but when it becomes a pattern and it is happening consistently, that falls on the head coach too. He's got to go to his defensive coordinator and say, this isn't working. We need to switch things up. We need to do, what's going on in the fourth quarter. And the issue is Shanahan is it seems like he views it as he's in charge of the offense. Defensive coordinator is in charge of the defense, and special teams doesn't matter. So Shanahan needs to be in charge of the whole team as a head coach. That's his job. And so when the defense keeps faltering like this, he can't just be on the defensive coordinator. They fired Steve Wilkes last year because for whatever reason, he was scapegoated for the Super Bowl loss, but ultimately it's on Shanahan. His offense didn't get the job done in that game either. And so when we see this team making no adjustments all year and they won the one game, it seems like they've played the same game like 5 or 6 times this year. 6 times. Well, 5. I don't know. The one game that they won was against Tampa Bay on a last-second field goal, and they were coming off a bye week. Tampa Bay was coming off a short week where they played in overtime against the Chiefs, and the 49ers still barely eked out a victory. And I had hope all year that Shanahan would be able to adjust and make the appropriate changes, and we just haven't seen that happen. And yeah, you can say players aren't executing. If that's the case, then that's still on the coach. He needs to teach his players to execute better, especially guys that have been here for years and years. This is the same team. Those guys that are missing blocks have been on the team for multiple seasons at this point. Yeah, if they're missing assignments, if they're not doing their job, then you've got to do a better job of coaching them, or you've got to get different guys in there that can get the job done. It's not about playing your favorites or the most popular players. It's not, your buddies. You got to be a head coach and play the players that are best for this team that give them the opportunity to win more games. So yeah, we'll see how Sunday goes. I have a whole thought on Shanahan and what I think should be done at the end of the season, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Don't have a lot of time to record, so I got to wrap this up. And thank you to everyone that tuned in today. I appreciate every single one of you. If you haven't, please go like and subscribe. I know this episode wasn't this episode is a little bit negative, and that's unfortunately how the season has gone. But I try to always keep it real. I'm a 49ers fan, so I always root for the team on Sundays, obviously, but I always try to be as real as I can with my thoughts on the team, how they're playing, how the season's going, and I try to be as unbiased as possible. So let me know, is there a chance the Niners win on Sunday? If so, is there a chance this team makes another playoff run? Can they win this game Sunday without Brock, Bosa, possibly Trent? And it's an uphill battle. And if they can pull it off, then they might be able to pull off a playoff run. But I'm not super hopeful about that. So let me know what you think. And again, thank you for everyone that has liked and subscribed. This has been Storytime with Chris.